Vikings, let's win the game.
Vikings fans, today hit anybody who bleeds purple. You had rookie quarterback Max Brosmer getting called in to run the offense and delivering a grounded, no-excuses message. You had the defense turning into a straight-up nightmare for the Detroit Lions, and the spotlight on Brian Flores is getting louder by the minute. You had a gift nobody saw coming get delivered in the most unexpected way. You had a true team symbol, Harrison Smith, sending an emotional message to the crowd, and at the end, a milestone is about to happen that could leave the entire NFL stunned. But before I break down every detail of this rundown, do me a quick favor. Subscribe to the channel. It is completely free, and it helps a ton to keep this community alive. Hit the like button too, because that helps YouTube push this purple community to more Minnesota Vikings fans. And drop your take in the comments, because this conversation belongs to who lives and breathes Vikings football every single day. Look at the Max Brosmer situation, because it tells you exactly how this offense is surviving on pure grit. The Vikings beat the Lions on Christmas by a score of 20-10, and it was one of those wins you grind out with your fingernails, not with art. Brosmer, an undrafted rookie, made only the second start of his career. The numbers were 9 of 16 for 51 yards. He ran twice for 16 yards. That is not a stat line you frame, I know. But remember his first start against the Seattle Seahawks? 4 interceptions. 4. The kind of debut that makes your stomach turn if you wear purple and gold. So the simple fact that he did not hand the game away against Detroit is a huge step. It looks small on paper. In reality, for a rookie thrown into a storm, it is a lot. Then you get Detroit at home, and Kevin O'Connell clearly pulled the emergency brake on the playbook. Less risk, more runs, more quick throws, more do not give the ball away. And it worked. A win is a win, and the defense handled the rest. You could feel it in the stadium. Every clean possession was like a collective exhale. The most interesting part was what Brosmer said afterward. He did not come with excuses. He talked about learning. He said NFL football is hard. At the same time, he said it is fun. To be honest with you, I like hearing a young guy say that because it shows his head is in the right place. He also shouted out the locker room and the building. He said the best part is the process and the people around him. And he said he is grateful, like it is a blessing, to have the guys in the huddle backing him through the highs and the lows. And let us be real, the Vikings' offensive season has been a weird roller coaster. We watched Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones leave and do well elsewhere. Here it has been J.J. McCarthy banged up, Carson Wentz rotating in, and Brosmer getting tossed into the fire. So when he says the guys in the huddle stayed with him through the ups and downs, that matters, because this offensive group has taken hits from its own inconsistency all year. Now the question is simple. Should Brosmer start again in Week 18 against the Green Bay Packers? With McCarthy dealing with his hand and the team not fighting for a playoff spot, it makes sense to test the kid one more time. But Green Bay is not a walk in the park. Their defense is nasty. The pressure is real. That is a game that demands fast reads, and that is where you get the kind of fan perspective you do not hear everywhere. O'Connell showed he can protect Brosmer, but he also showed the ceiling for this offense is low right now. If Brosmer plays, the plan has to be clean. No hero ball, secure throws, and trust the defense to keep carrying. I want to hear you. Do you ride with Max Brosmer as the starter in the finale, or do you want J.J. McCarthy out there even if he is not 100%? Drop it in the comments, because the next story is about the brain behind this defense, and the conversation is about to heat up. You know what made me smirk during this Lions game? The Vikings defense looked like it was reading Jared Goff's mind. And when that happens, my friend, nobody on the other side breathes easy. It was a massive showing inside US Bank Stadium. That Christmas win by a score of 23-10 was not just another one. It was a message. There were 6 turnovers, 2 interceptions, 4 recovered fumbles, and there were 5 sacks on top of that. Detroit finished at 3.6 yards per play. That is real pressure. And that is why the Brian Flores head coach talk is popping up again, loud. This is not random internet noise. Chris Sims, who works at NBC and lives in the defensive world, posted on X on December 25th that Flores put on a clinic, and he asked the question that hits a nerve: how is this guy not a head coach? I get the feeling behind it, because this Vikings roster has taken punches on offense all year. Then December hits, and out of nowhere, the defense starts dragging the team forward. 4 straight wins, and in that stretch, only one team has scored more than 20 points on this unit. That is not luck. That is scheme and execution. That is players buying in. That is pressure arriving right on time. That is coverage shifting late and messing with a quarterback's picture. It sounds simple when you say it. Inside the game, it is war. Goff admitted it afterward. He said the Vikings had a good plan. He said they exploited things they saw. He talked about an extra rusher showing up again and again. And when that guy comes free, somebody on defense won in the chess match. Detroit tried to have an answer for the blitz. It did not work well enough, and at halftime he said the Vikings adjusted. So it was not just starting fast, it was staying smart. This was the fourth straight win for Minnesota, and during this run, only one team has gotten past 20 points on this defense. Even with the offense sputtering, the defense became the emotional center of the team. That feeling of, if we just get one more stop, we can steal this. Who lives and breathes Vikings football feels that in the stands. The energy shifts. Then you had Penei Sewell keeping it brutally honest. 6 turnovers is a recipe to lose. He said he has to watch the film. He said it was details. He said they got loose with the ball. And against an aggressive defense like the Vikings, a detail turns into disaster fast. Now here is the thing. If the Vikings close the season with one more win, the noise around Brian Flores is going to get deafening. And that leads right into something that hits everybody. Because there is a veteran on the back end who felt the crowd's energy in a different way. And what he said afterward, man, it lands right in your chest. Man, I have seen a lot over the years as a Vikings fan. But what Harrison Smith lived on Christmas carried a different weight. It was not just another game. It felt like a career moment. And when you talk about a leader like that, purple and gold feels it in your bones. First, look at what he did on the field. The Vikings already had the Lions in a vice with that suffocating defense. Then Harrison Smith showed up the way he always does, right on time. He picked off Jared Goff at a moment when the game was still tight. And that changes everything, because an interception in that spot is like yanking the rug out from under a rival. After the game, the vibe was different. Smith talked to reporters and did not duck the weight of the topic. His contract is expiring around $10.2 million, and retirement talk has hovered for multiple off-seasons. He did not promise anything. He said he is living in the moment. He said he is going to enjoy his teammates, his family, and the holidays. And he said the rest will handle itself when it does. It is a simple answer. If you follow this team, you hear the subtext. Then came the part that hit the heart. The stadium did a whiteout. The crowd showed up even with the team out of the playoffs. And during the final 2 minutes, when his name came up, the noise was unreal. Long applause, no rush, like the whole building saying, "We know exactly who you are." He got interviewed right there with Ben Lieber, and Harrison Smith said it is unbelievable. He said when he was a kid, he never imagined ending up there with that kind of love. In the locker room, he almost let it spill over. He said he did not want to get emotional, but it was special. He also said the fans here have never experienced a Super Bowl. They still show up, they still sing, they still pull on white and do their part, and he dropped that stubborn hope. That one day, the crowd will get that title. Man, I heard that and went quiet for a few seconds. There was another beautiful detail. People from the Lions walked up to congratulate him. Rivalry is hot, but respect is real. Smith called Detroit a tough organization. He said that mutual respect matters. To me, that is real football. And there is the historic layer, too. The Vikings posted that he reached 21.5 career sacks and 38 career interceptions. That makes him one of the only players in history with those numbers together, alongside Ron Barber. And it did not stop there. He reached 50 career tackles for loss as well. That is rare for a defensive back. When you put it all together, you understand why he sounded like a kid talking about that interception ball. He laughed and said he wanted to throw it into the stands, but he decided to keep it. At 36, going on 37, he still has that spark. That is special. Now I want to hear Purple Faithful. Do you think Harrison Smith has one more year in him, or does this farewell feeling already hit you? Throw your take down below. And hold on, because the next story is about a dad on the field delivering a present to his kid in the stands. You cannot make this stuff up. You know those moments that make you think, this is why we love football? That was exactly what Andrew Van Ginkel did on Christmas, because it was not just beating the Lions, it was turning a gritty game into a family memory right in front of us. He is a linebacker working on a holiday and his family was still in the building. No, we will celebrate later. They were there in the noise and the rivalry. And Van Ginkel answered in the most Vikings way possible, with clean hits and the ball in his hands. The defense was already crushing Detroit, pressure arriving fast. Jared Goff rushed, the ball popping loose. In the middle of that chaos, Andrew Van Ginkel fell on 2 fumbles. 2. That is instinct. That is awareness. That is wanting the game. On one of those plays, you could see him looking up toward the stands. I swear, I thought, he is about to do something. And he did. He went to the sideline, found his son, and handed him the actual game ball he had just recovered against the Lions. Man, is there a better gift than that? That is the kind of thing only parents fully understand. You spend years working, traveling, missing dates, and when you get a moment to bring it all together, you take it. He gave his kid a memory you cannot buy, and he did it the right way. No show, just a quick, genuine gesture, then back to the huddle. And I love what it says about the locker room, too. Even in a season where the offense struggled, this defense has stayed tight as a group. Guys play for each other. They play for the stadium in purple and gold. They play for pride. When you see a veteran do something like that, you know the internal vibe is alive. And from a football standpoint, that play matters too. A turnover in a division game is a punch to morale. The crowd rises. The rival starts forcing throws. Then it snowballs. Detroit was already hanging on. With the Vikings defense hunting, every fumble felt like a bell ringing. I'm going to say something and laugh by myself here. If I were Van Ginkel's kid, I would sleep with that ball under my arm all week. My wife would kick me out of the room. I still would not let it go. That is an heirloom. And there is another layer. Moments like that glue the fan base to the team. Because it is not just scheme. It is not just stats. It is people. It is family. It is remembering these guys are living Christmas too, just wearing a helmet. Hold that feeling, because the next story is our star Justin Jefferson breaking a historic mark. And he is one game away from stamping another clean round number. All right, let us talk about the guy who keeps hope alive even when the offense feels like it is driving with the parking brake on, Justin Jefferson. The Lions game was quiet for him, and for the entire offense, if we are keeping it real. But even in the middle of that nothing is happening vibe, he still broke a record with real history behind it. Jefferson finished with 4 catches for 30 yards. The biggest play was a 10-yard gain late in the fourth quarter that basically sealed the win. It is not a highlight reel night, but those 30 yards pushed his career total to 8,379 receiving yards. And that passed Randy Moss, who had 8,375 for the most receiving yards by any player in his first 6 NFL seasons. You pause and go, okay, that is real, because passing Randy Moss in anything is not casual. And the wild part is this has almost become tradition. Jefferson already held those records for the first 2 seasons, first 3 seasons, first 4 seasons, and first 5 seasons. Now he has the first 6 too. It is like every year he tells the league, relax, I am still here. Even with bad quarterback play, even with ugly games, even with double coverage. And speaking of that, his 2025 season has been different. It has not been that absurd pace from other stretches. There have been drops we are not used to. There have been contested catches he usually steals. But I will praise one thing all day, his attitude. With J.J. McCarthy, Carson Wentz, and Max Brosmer rotating, the passing level has not helped anybody. And Jefferson has still been a leader. Body language, energy, no quitting, that matters. Now here comes the next target, the one that makes you lean forward. He is sitting at 947 receiving yards this season. He needs 53 more to hit 1,000 receiving yards in the finale against the Green Bay Packers. 53. That is a normal night for him. And if he hits 1,000, he joins a very small group of players who reached 1,000 receiving yards in each of their first 6 seasons. The list is short and heavy, and I want it for more than a pretty number. I want it because it is a stamp of consistency in a weird year. And there is more. The Vikings go into Week 18 with simple goals. Beat the border rival, finish on a 5-game win streak, end at 9-8. And yes, everybody in that building will know exactly how many yards Jefferson needs. I can already picture somebody writing it on a board. Big letters, then the whole stadium counting every target. I'm laughing already because I know how I get. But all of this also points to something bigger. When the defense carries, when leaders get emotional, when a dad hands his kid a game ball and Jefferson breaks a record, the question becomes, what kind of team are we watching get built for next year? Breathe with me, because when I look at this whole package, I see a Vikings team that refused to end the year with its head down. The offense struggled, yes. Max Brosmer had to learn in real time, and he still held a division game together on Christmas without melting down. Brian Flores' defense became the emotional engine of the team, and with the way they are playing, big people around the league are going to keep an eye on him. Then you have Harrison Smith making history and speaking from the heart like he feels every single clap from that crowd in purple and gold. In the middle of all that, Andrew Van Ginkel gave us a family moment that reminds you why this sport hits so hard. And to cap it, Justin Jefferson passed Randy Moss and stacked another milestone. I am going to make a bold statement. If this defense walks into 2026 with the same hunger, the Vikings will not be an easy team for anybody, even on the road. And that changes how the league respects you. It changes how rivals line up. A defense with identity is work. It is fear too. Now, the finale against the Packers is the kind of game that works as a thermometer. It is not just winning, it is seeing who stays steady. It is seeing if the team stays locked in. It is seeing if Jefferson gets those yards and stamps 1,000. It is seeing how the locker room reacts when the plan gets tight. I am not going to pretend everything is solved. It is not. But there is a flame lit here, and it is not small. Drop a comment. This space belongs to everybody who lives and breathes Vikings football. Tell me what you felt watching this stretch. Pride, relief, or that stubborn hope that never lets go. Stay tuned. SKOL Vikings, let's go.